A millionaire walks into a grocery store and sees a poor cashier saving his mother's life only to lose her job in the process. What happens next is unbelievable, and it will change both of their lives forever. The city never sleeps. Neon lights flicker against glass towers, and the streets hum with the rhythm of ambition. In one of those towers sits Ethan Cole, a man whose name is synonymous with success. At 48, Ethan has built an empire from scratch: real estate, investments, luxury brands. His days are filled with meetings, contracts, and numbers that climb higher than the skyline itself. Yet behind the polished suits and chauffeured cars lies a man who feels strangely hollow. His wealth has bought him everything except the one thing he craves most: genuine connection. The only person who reminds him of who he once was is his mother, Margaret. A gentle soul who raised him on values of kindness and humility before money became his obsession. Across town, in a cramped apartment with peeling paint and a flickering bulb, lives Clara James at 26. Clara shoulders the weight of responsibility far beyond her years. Her younger brother, Daniel, depends on her for everything: food, rent, school supplies. Clara works endless shifts at a local grocery store, standing behind a register that feels more like a cage than a job. Her paycheck barely stretches to cover bills, but she never complains. Instead, she greets customers with warmth, carries bags for the elderly, and slips coins into the hands of children who come up short. Her kindness is her rebellion against a world that often feels cold and indifferent. Clara's mornings begin before sunrise. She brews weak coffee, ties her hair back, and walks Daniel to school before rushing to the store. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead as she scans groceries, her smile masking exhaustion. Customers barely notice her, but Clara notices them. She sees the loneliness in the old man buying soup for one, the stress in the mother juggling groceries and toddlers. She believes that even the smallest kindness can make a difference, and she lives that belief every day. Ethan's mornings, in contrast, begin with silence. He wakes in a penthouse overlooking the city, his breakfast prepared by staff, his schedule managed by assistants. He scrolls through emails, reviews stock reports, and prepares for another day of negotiations. Yet when he visits his mother, Margaret, he softens. She reminds him of the boy who once dreamed not of wealth but of making a difference. Her health has been fragile lately, and Ethan worries, though he rarely admits it. The inciting incident arrives on an ordinary afternoon. Margaret decides to shop at Clara's store. As she browses the aisles, her body suddenly weakens. She collapses, and panic ripples through the crowd. Shoppers freeze, unsure of what to do. Clara doesn't hesitate. She rushes from behind the register, kneels beside Margaret, and uses her basic first aid training to stabilize her breathing. Her voice is calm, her hands steady, her compassion unwavering. By the time paramedics arrive, Margaret is safe thanks to Clara. Ethan arrives moments later, his heart pounding as he sees his mother being lifted onto a stretcher. He notices Clara, flushed and trembling, yet composed. He realizes this young woman saved his mother's life. But before gratitude can be expressed, Clara's manager storms over. Furious that she abandoned her post, he fires her on the spot. Clara's face falls. She saved a life, yet lost her livelihood. Ethan watches, stunned, as Clara walks out of the store, her shoulders heavy with despair. This is where their worlds collide. A millionaire shaken by the fragility of life, and a cashier punished for her compassion. What Ethan chooses to do next will set in motion a chain of events that neither of them could have imagined. The next morning, Ethan cannot shake the image of Clara being dismissed so coldly after saving his mother's life. His mother, Margaret, insists on thanking the young woman personally. Ethan, usually detached from the lives of strangers, feels compelled to find her. He drives through the city, leaving behind his polished office towers, until he arrives at the modest neighborhood where Clara lives. Clara is sitting on the front steps of her apartment, her brother Daniel beside her, trying to reassure him that everything will be fine. Ethan approaches, unsure how to begin. Clara looks up, startled to see a man in a tailored suit standing in front of her worn-down building. "Are you Clara James?" Ethan asks gently. Yes, can I help you? She replies, cautious but polite. My name is Ethan Cole. Yesterday, you saved my mother's life. I owe you more than I can ever express. Clara blushes, shaking her head. I just did what anyone would have done. I couldn't stand by and watch her suffer. Ethan studies her, this young woman who risked everything for a stranger. He sees dignity in her posture, even though she's clearly exhausted. For the first time in years, Ethan feels humbled. Ethan offers to drive Clara and Daniel to dinner, wanting to show gratitude. Clara hesitates, protective of her brother, but Daniel's excitement wins her over. At the restaurant, Ethan notices Clara's quiet grace. She doesn't complain about her struggles, but when Daniel mentions how hard she works, Ethan realizes the depth of her sacrifice. During dinner, Ethan says, "You lost your job because you helped my mother. That isn't right. I'd like to help you find something better." Clara's eyes widen. "I appreciate that, but I don't want charity. I just want to earn an honest living." Her words strike Ethan. He admires her pride and resilience. Instead of offering money, he asks about her dreams. Clara admits she once wanted to study nursing, but financial hardship forced her to abandon that path. Ethan listens, moved by her determination. This is his first act of kindness, not a handout, but genuine interest. He treats Clara not as someone to pity, but as someone with potential. Clara feels seen for the first time in a long time. As they leave the restaurant, Ethan notices Clara's neighborhood children playing in cracked sidewalks. Family is struggling but resilient. He realizes how different her world is from his own. Yet, despite the hardships, there is warmth here, a sense of community he has long forgotten. Clara thanks him for dinner, her voice steady. "I don't know what's next for me, but I'll figure it out." "I always do," Ethan replies softly. "You've already proven you have strength most people never show." Saving my mother wasn't just an act of kindness, it was an act of courage. And courage deserves opportunity. For the first time, Clara allows herself to hope. Ethan's words plant a seed of possibility, though she remains cautious. Trust doesn't come easily when life has been a series of disappointments. But something about Ethan feels different, sincere. Before we continue with this incredible journey, I spent countless hours researching and crafting this story to bring you something truly meaningful. If stories like this touch your heart and you want to see more acts of kindness that restore faith in humanity, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. It means the world to me and helps these important stories reach others who need to hear them. Now, let's see what happens next. Over the next few weeks, Ethan and Clara's paths cross more often. Ethan begins visiting Clara's neighborhood, not as a benefactor but as a learner. He watches how she interacts with neighbors, helping an elderly woman carry groceries, comforting a child who scraped his knee, sharing her last few coins with a struggling mother. Clara's kindness is effortless, woven into her daily life. Ethan, who has spent years surrounded by boardrooms and contracts, finds himself humbled by the richness of compassion in a place where money is scarce. Clara, initially guarded, begins to open up. She tells Ethan about her brother Daniel's dream of becoming a teacher, about her own abandoned nursing ambitions, and about the countless nights she's cried quietly, wondering if she ever escaped the cycle of struggle. Ethan listens, not with pity, but with genuine respect. He realizes that Clara's strength lies not in wealth, but in resilience and love. Margaret, recovering steadily, insists on meeting Clara again. When she does, she embraces her warmly, saying, "You gave me more than breath, you gave me hope that kindness still exists." Clara, overwhelmed, smiles through tears. For the first time, she feels her sacrifices are seen. Word spreads through Clara's neighborhood that a wealthy man has taken interest in her story. Some neighbors cheer her on, believing this could be her chance to rise above hardship. Others whisper skepticism, warning her not to trust someone from a world so different. Clara herself wrestles with doubt. Can Ethan's kindness be real, or is it temporary? Ethan, meanwhile, faces questions from his own circle. Business associates raise eyebrows at his time spent in poorer districts. They caution him against distractions, reminding him of deals and profits. Ethan begins to realize that compassion is often inconvenient in a world obsessed with gain. The turning point comes when Clara applies for a nursing scholarship Ethan quietly arranged. She excels in the interview, but the committee hesitates, citing her lack of formal employment and financial instability. Clara feels crushed, believing her past failures define her future. At the same time, Ethan faces backlash from his company's board. They accuse him of misusing resources, questioning why he's investing in community programs instead of high-return ventures. Ethan is torn. Does he protect his empire or stand by Clara and the values his mother taught him? Clara, sensing the tension, tells Ethan, "You don't have to fight for me. I've survived this long on my own. I'll keep surviving." Her words sting, not because they reject his help, but because they reveal her deep mistrust of promises. Ethan realizes that if he truly wants to change her life, he must prove his commitment not with money, but with unwavering action. Clara begins to withdraw, afraid of disappointment. Ethan struggles with doubt, wondering if his efforts are enough. Margaret encourages him, reminding him that kindness is not measured by ease, but by persistence. "If you believe in her," Margaret says, "then fight for her the way she fought for me." The stakes rise. Clara's scholarship hangs in the balance. Ethan's reputation is questioned, and both must decide whether their bond can withstand the pressures of two very different worlds. The scholarship committee's hesitation weighs heavily on Clara. She feels the sting of rejection before the decision is even final. Ethan, however, refuses to let her dream die. He arranges a meeting with the committee, not to use his influence recklessly, but to share Margaret's story. He explains how Clara's quick thinking saved his mother's life, how her compassion is not just admirable but essential in the medical field. Margaret herself attends, her frail voice steady as she says, "If this young woman could save me in a grocery store aisle, imagine what she could do with proper training." Moved by the testimony, the committee reconsiders. Clara is granted the scholarship, but Ethan knows this is only the beginning. He begins funding community health workshops inspired by Clara's dream. Clara volunteers, teaching basic first aid to neighbors, empowering them to help one another. The ripple effect begins, one act of kindness spreading outward. Clara blossoms. For the first time, she walks with confidence, her shoulders no longer weighed down by despair. Daniel beams with pride, telling friends his sister is going to be a nurse. Ethan watches her transformation with quiet joy. He realizes that helping Clara has changed him too. His boardroom battles feel less important compared to the lives he sees touched by compassion. Clara, once hesitant to accept help, now embraces the idea that kindness is not weakness, it is strength. She begins mentoring younger girls in her neighborhood, encouraging them to pursue education despite obstacles. Her resilience inspires others, and slowly the community begins to change. Months later, Clara stands in a crisp uniform, beginning her nursing program. Ethan and Margaret attend her orientation ceremony, proud witnesses to her journey. Clara's eyes shine with gratitude, not because she was rescued, but because she was given the chance to rise. Ethan, too, has transformed. He restructures parts of his company to invest in social initiatives, scholarships, community centers, health programs. His wealth now serves a purpose beyond profit. He feels fulfilled in a way money never gave him. The story comes full circle when Clara, now trained, saves another life, this time a child injured in her neighborhood. The crowd gathers, watching her skill and calmness. Ethan sees it too, realizing that the moment in the grocery store was not an isolated act but the beginning of a legacy. Clara is no longer just surviving. She is thriving, giving back, and inspiring others to do the same. The millionaire who once lived in isolation now finds himself surrounded by community. The cashier who once feared losing everything now stands as a beacon of hope. Together, they prove that kindness is contagious and its impact can reshape lives far beyond the moment it is given. Months pass, and the lives of Ethan, Clara, and Margaret look very different. Clara thrives in her nursing program, balancing studies with her continued commitment to her community. She volunteers at local clinics, teaching first aid and inspiring young people to pursue healthcare careers. Her brother Daniel, motivated by her example, excels in school and begins planning for college. Ethan, once consumed by profit margins, now finds fulfillment in philanthropy. His company invests in scholarships, community centers, and health initiatives. He spends more time in neighborhoods like Clara's, listening to stories, learning from resilience, and rediscovering the humanity he had lost in his pursuit of wealth. Margaret, healthier and happier, beams with pride at the transformation she sees in both her son and Clara. The ripple effect is undeniable. Clara's courage and Ethan's gratitude sparked a chain reaction: neighbors helping neighbors, strangers becoming friends, and communities finding strength and compassion. What began as one act of kindness in a grocery store has grown into a movement of hope. This story reminds us that kindness is not just a fleeting gesture, it is a force that can reshape lives, families, and entire communities. Clara's resilience shows that even in hardship, compassion can shine. Ethan's transformation proves that wealth without humanity is empty. But when paired with kindness, it becomes a tool for change. At its core, this is a story about values we all share: family, compassion, and the belief that no act of kindness is ever wasted. It's about seeing beyond circumstances and recognizing the humanity in each other. And it's about the truth that sometimes the smallest gesture can ignite the greatest transformation. Stories like this remind us that extraordinary kindness exists all around us. If this touched your heart, please like this video. It helps more people discover these inspiring stories. Subscribe for more tales of human kindness that will restore your faith in humanity. And most importantly, look for opportunities in your own life to be someone's unexpected blessing. What act of kindness will you perform this week? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and remember, you have the power to change someone's entire world.